Welcome to Survivor Scale! I'm H2 Mass, and today I'm ranking every main character in Drew Goddard's 2011 chaotic killfest, The Cabin in the Woods, where a mysterious organization entraps a group of college students for an ancient ritual that will determine the fate of the planet. We start the film with two seemingly normal office workers talking about raising children until their stressed out co-worker Lynn tells them that Sweden has failed its mission and now only Japan and the United States can complete the ritual. Gary and Steve though display their nonchalance when they ignore Lynn's concerns and go on about their day, not worried at all. We then meet main character Dana, reminiscing on her involuntarily ended relationship with her professor before her friend Jules arrives and tries to push Dana into a new romance with someone she hasn't even seen yet. Jules' boyfriend Kurt then walks in and throws a football, but it goes through a window, so Kurt's friend and Dana's new potential love interest Holden shows off his reflexes and catches it outside. Determined to demonstrate his versatility beyond his physical stature, Kurt hints at his studiousness when he recommends that Dana read some political science textbooks that he finds interesting and will help her in class. As the group finally prepares to leave, a fool named Marty arrives as high as a satellite on cocaine and becomes the last member of the road trip, but as they depart, we see a man watching them from the rooftop and reporting their movements to some unknown entity. Ooh. On their way to the title of the movie, Marty prepares to get even higher while he reveals his pessimism for humanity.
Society needs to crumble. We're all just too chicken shit to let it.
Meanwhile, Gary and Steve begin their oversight of the ritual in the control room, where they meet Daniel Truman, their security for the night, who guarantees to hold his post even if things get crazy. We'll see about that. After getting some directions from a man who spits toxic waste, the group arrives at the cabin in the woods, where Holden resists his horniness when he tells Dana to stop undressing because her room has a two-way mirror on the wall that he can see through, but she can't. To make her feel more comfortable, Holden decides to switch rooms, but this only puts Dana in the same predicament that Holden was just in when she barely manages to resist her own horny urges after Holden starts undressing as well, forcing Dana to cover the mirror so she can't gaze upon Holden's nude body that he definitely wanted her to see. So you telling me this man started undressing when he knew there was a two-way mirror on the other side? He knew what he was doing. Back at the facility, Lynn reveals that they have tampered with Jules' hair products to lower her intelligence, making my evaluation of her all the more dubious. A bit later, the workers at the facility place bets on which monstrosity the college students will unleash as part of the ritual, and while Gary, Steve, and Lynn all make their choices, Truman abstains from such disrespect to the sacrificing of young adults. Protest! At the cabin, the group plays Truth or Dare, and after Jules has an uncomfortably long tongue tassel with a taxidermy moose, a trap door spontaneously springs open and draws everyone to it, prompting Kurt to say one of the dumbest lines I've ever heard.
The wind must have blown it open.
And Marty seems to agree with me.
That makes what kind of sense?
Jules then dares Dana to go into the creepy new hole, but Dana quickly reveals her skittishness when she sees an old photo and shrieks in terror. Anticipating danger, the rest of the crew go into the cellar as well, and almost all of them reveal their curiosity by inspecting each of the strange artifacts around them like a Resident Evil game. Marty, however, can sense the danger and doesn't need to satisfy his curiosity, telling them that they should leave the basement.
I dare you all to go upstairs?
Not listening to Marty's warnings, Dana starts reading aloud from some ancient diary that begins in English but then turns into Latin. Marty then tells them that they should definitely not read the Latin, but a disembodied voice that only Marty seems to hear tells them to read it out loud. When Marty tries to take the book away, Kurt stops him and Dana displays an egregious level of curiosity when she speaks the words instead of silently reading them. None of them can even understand Latin, so what is the point of reading it out loud? Back at the facility, the maintenance department gets the prize money for betting on the correct monster after Dana caused a zombified, pain-worshipping backwoods family to rise from the dead for speaking Latin. Steve, though, shows his disappointment that the group didn't pick the merman, the monster he's wanted to see for years.
I am never gonna see a merman. Ever.
You better hope so. Back to the group, Kurt and Jules leave the cabin for a little sexy session, but Marty again displays his perceptiveness when he recognizes how weird Kurt and Jules have been acting since arriving here. Dana, though, just ignores him and starts making out with Holden. We then see Jules and Kurt frolicking through the forest, and while Jules initially suppresses her horniness by declining to bump nasties with Kurt, she quickly changes her mind when Steve releases some pheromones into the air that artificially raise her horniness levels. Despite losing some agency and now wanting to ride some meat, Jules still shows some caution by at least trying to do it inside the cabin, but Kurt influences her to stay outside. Unfortunately though, a knife stabs Jules' hand and a group of zombies attacks the couple, eventually overpowering Kurt and then decapitating Jules, sending the blonde bombshell turned bisected body to B tier. Meanwhile, Marty hears another disembodied voice, this time telling him to go for a walk, and even though he seems to find it weird, he decides to go for a walk anyway, during which he stops to pee and doesn't notice a little zombie slowly walking towards him. Kurt then runs through and tackles the zombie as he and Marty dash into the cabin. Totally bloody, Kurt then tells everybody that Jules is dead and that they need to get away, but Dana refuses to leave Jules behind despite what Kurt just said about her, so she opens the door even after Marty tells her about the zombie. Man, she is not having a good performance. A much bigger undead killer then shows up and throws Jules' head into the room, forcing all 4 of the remaining survivors to push the door together to keep him outside. Kurt then shows his leadership and tells them to barricade the doors, and that no matter what,
we have to stay together.
Good job! Unfortunately, no! Gary presses a button that releases some gas into the cabin and completely changes Kurt's mind.
This isn't right, we should split up.
Damn you, Gary! While Marty continues to demonstrate his skepticism, Holden does the opposite and agrees with Kurt's decision. So when a zombie breaks the window, everyone runs into separate rooms and then Gary locks them inside. Marty then finds a hidden camera and somehow comes up with an incredible oversimplification of the strange truth.
I want a reality TV show.
Kinda. Yeah. A zombie then pulls Marty through the window, but his strong composure allows him to grab his bong and then smack the zombie with it. Unfortunately, his attack isn't very effective and the zombie hits him with a knife as he runs away. The zombie then drags him into a ditch where the 2 of them engage in an unseen battle that Gary and Steve assume he'll lose. Meanwhile, another zombie breaks into Dana's room, but Holden shatters the mirror and lets Dana into his room. As Holden places the bed against the hole in the wall, Dana notices a trap door and the 2 of them escape into the basement. As they look for a different exit, a zombie hits Holden with a bear trap connected to a chain and begins to pull him into the air. Dana though shows some resolve and pulls Holden back down, before then stabbing the zombie with a nearby hook and then repeatedly with a knife when it doesn't die from her initial attack. Okay, she's doing better now. She even holds on to her new weapon instead of immediately dropping it in case she needs it later, unlike so many other horror characters, but Gary sends a shock to the knife that causes her to drop it and never think about it again. Kurt then busts in and leads the group to the RV so they can finally escape the woods with the cabin in them. Back at the facility, we see that a group of schoolgirls in Japan have defeated an evil spirit by turning it into a frog, leaving only the United States to complete the ritual and causing Gary's stress levels to rise so much that he starts talking like a supervillain.
How hard is it to kill 9-year-old?
Not so nonchalant now, huh? After realizing that the remaining survivors are about to escape, Gary tells the demolition team to blow up the tunnel leading out of the area, but since it hasn't worked this entire time, Gary shows off his electrical engineering skills and fixes the system himself, causing the exit to collapse and keeping the victims contained. Kurt though has other plans and decides to cross the abyss, preventing them from leaving by jumping over it with his motorbike. As some inspirational music swells, Kurt rides off the edge, soars into the air, and oof, leaving the jammed, jolted, and jacked up jock in A tier. After seeing an invisible wall, Dana realizes that everything has been set up and seems to lose hope of surviving, but Holden maintains some optimism and tries to think of new ways to escape. Unfortunately though, one of the zombies has snuck onto the RV and surprises Holden by skewering his neck, causing him to crash into the lake below and sending the sporty scholar turned sliced up shish kebab to B tier. Thinking they killed off all of the college students except for Dana, Gary, Steve, and Lynn celebrate the completion of the ritual, and Dana shows some incredible resolve by climbing out of the water after somehow surviving a crash from more than 40 feet. Unfortunately though, the zombie attacks Dana once again, but before he can finish her off, Marty jumps out and knocks him down from behind, allowing Dana to smack him off the dock with a plank. He won the battle! I knew he had it in him. Marty and Dana then go into an elevator that Marty found earlier, and Marty reveals the film's second electrical engineering aficionado when he rewires it to go further underground so they can at least try to find a way out. As they descend this mysterious abyss, they encounter a collection of horrific creatures locked inside containment cubes, with Dana realizing that they come from all the weird artifacts they were messing around with in the cellar. Should've listened to Marty. When they get to the bottom, a man points a gun at them and tells Dana to get out, but suddenly a zombie hand grabs the man's leg, which distracts him and allows the dynamic duo to knock him out. Resourcefully, Marty grabs his gun and the two of them slowly progress through the facility as a security squad moves towards them in a different hallway. A moment later, the soldiers shoot at them, so Marty and Dana run into a control room that's conveniently empty, and Dana becomes the film's third electrical engineering major when she immediately understands how to operate the control panel and releases all the Nightmare's creatures locked in the elevators with a single button. Why the hell do they have a button that does that? What possible reason could there be for being able to so easily unleash a horde of evil? As Dana and Marty keep themselves hidden in the control room downstairs, the monsters spread throughout the facility and begin killing nearly all of the employees. Unfortunately though, a big ass bat flies through the window and forces Dana and Marty to flee into a hole in the wall. Meanwhile, Gary and Lynn try to unlock a secret escape room while Truman shows great composure and tries to gain control of the increasingly terrifying situation. Sadly though, a group of scarecrows gets inside and gangs up on him, but he stays true to his promise from earlier and shows even more ridiculous composure when he sets up and detonates a bomb, all while the scarecrows rip him apart. The explosion also throws Steve to the ground, and as he tries to recompose himself, he finally gets his wish and comes face to face with a merman. That ends up killing him.
Oh, come on!
Don't you just love irony? Right as Gary unlocks the secret door, a giant tentacle pulls Lynn through the ceiling, so Gary just jumps down and runs away, but gets stabbed by Dana, and with his dying breath, he tells her to kill Marty. So Marty does the dumbest thing possible and gives Dana the gun, because she'll need it for the plot. Why would you give someone a gun who was just told to kill you? As the two of them continue through the tunnels, they end up in a room with 5 figures carved into the wall, and Dana shows some more deductive skills by realizing that they each represent a member of their group. Shockingly, the director of this whole organization then walks in and explains that they have to perform this ritual to prevent some ancient gods from overtaking the earth, and that Dana needs to kill Marty to finish the job. Marty though lets his nihilism bubble back up and says they should just let the ancient ones rise and kill everyone on the planet. Not wanting everyone to die, Dana then points the gun Marty just gave her towards Marty, but then a damn werewolf comes in and bites Dana, causing her to drop the gun, so Marty grabs it and shoots the werewolf. The director then tackles Marty, and the two of them wrestle for the weapon, but after Marty's poor melee ability causes him to lose the battle, he gets saved when the zombie Kurt tackled comes in and kills the director with an axe. With time running out to kill Marty and complete the ritual, Dana apologizes for almost shooting Marty, and the two of them take a smoke break right before a giant hand rises from beneath them and destroys the cabin in the woods, leaving the sore student and the speculating stoner in A tier and S tier. But that's it. The average ranking for this cast was A tier. Very strong collection of characters. As one of the most well-known horror comedies, The Cabin in the Woods somehow exceeded my expectations, balancing both laughter and slaughter in an unforgettable way. Thanks for watching.